minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Easterly, for being here today. In my former role as Florida Secretary of State, I had the opportunity, of course, to work with you, your predecessor, Director Krebs, your team over at CISA, in working to secure election infrastructure. So I'd like to begin there with a couple of questions about that sector and the work of CISA in the elections arena. Starting out, would you please describe for the committee what CISA does in collaboration with state and local election officials as it relates to cyber-specific risk assessments, and then also, where appropriate, the deployment of hunt and incident response teams to state and local elections offices? Would you please describe those services, when they're utilized, and whether you see the need for them increasing or decreasing?
Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you for your partnership and your leadership on this issue in particular. So as you know, we've been in this role now since 2017, and we have been learning constantly about the demands of election security, election infrastructure security, and really, I would say, refining our relationships with state and local officials to ensure that we are meeting their demands. As I think you know, from 2017 to 2020, our focus was very much on those cyber services, from vulnerability scanning to remote vulnerability assessments to penetration testing to helping with incident response. I think actually we are in a much better place in terms of cyber hygiene and cybersecurity with our election infrastructure. One thing that we found, however, going through 2022 was that the threats were very different now. Not only was there cyber, but there was also physical security issues, there were insider issues, and there were issues of concern around foreign influence and disinformation. So while we continue to provide those cybersecurity services, we are actually expanding our full range of services based on the demands that we're getting from state and local officials. And so one of the things that we did earlier this year was set up a full roadmap along 5 lines of effort, and we provided it to our state and local election officials. There are a full range of those cyber security services that you mentioned, Congresswoman, but also physical security, insider security. And then we're really pushing hard to get beyond the state and the state election directors so we can get down to communities and counties and parishes and towns, because we see those are the entities that are truly rich as a target, but cyber poor. So the other thing we did is we put together a placemat of services so that there was no mystery in terms of what we offer. And we made that available to all of our constituents using our field forces that we've grown, almost doubled over the past several years.
And on that subject, I know one of the challenges that faces CISA and many other partners across sectors as it relates to technology and cyber is recruitment and retention of appropriate, talented, trained people. And I know CISA launched the Cyber Talent Management System back in 2021 with the effort, the intention to be to recruit and retain the appropriate professionals you need for your workforce. How has CTMS been working? You mentioned the expansion of your team. Have you been able to effectively and efficiently recruit? And how does your fiscal year 24 request support the use of that operation and recruitment?
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. That was, as you probably know, about 7 years in the making. And so actually implementing it has been something that's been a real project that we've continuously had to look at how it's working and ensure it truly streamlines our ability to bring on more talent. I think we're at about 80 people with the Cyber Talent Management System and some really extraordinary talent. At this point in time, we continue to use our Title V authorities, our normal authorities, to bring on talent. We are hoping to use CTMS more aggressively this year. But I will tell you, I think the recruiting that we've done to date is a real success story. 516 people last year. We're on pace to exceed that. Our retention level is between 7% and 8%. And it's not just quantity. We are bringing in some of the best talent across the country. While our workforce has grown every year, the request that we put into the budget only adds a very small increment, I think maybe 10 people. And so what we're doing now is trying to get down to about 90% total And then, of course, we'll focus on retention. But to be frank, I am okay if somebody comes to work at CISA for 3 to 5 years and then goes off to a hospital or a power company or a bank to help them with their critical infrastructure security, because at the end of the day, this is really about collective cyber defense, and we need to work together hand in hand.
And Mr. Chairman, my time has expired.